Hello from Honeysuckle Farm. I am all set and ready to head out to the Homestead Ladies Farm to Table Dinner, and I am super excited. And so it's about 45 minutes away, and so I'm gonna hit the road and I'll show you what I can show you. All right, so here is the Farm to Table Dinner. It's very beautiful. That is homemade butter, sweet potatoes, green beans, pasture-raised chicken. This is a coffee shop that's out this way, and they came out to do coffee tonight. And everybody is just so welcoming and sweet. It's going on. I was like, at first I was like, and it's a beautiful building.
We're a good company. Introduction, tell us about your farm, tell us about your family. I'll start. I'm Ann. I'm from a farm girl in the making, and my farm is actually Acorn Creek Farmstead. We're out here in Waynesboro. We are a blended family. We have 7 between the two of us, mine, yours, and ours, with 2 generations, an 8-year gap between the first generation to the second generation. We've been in Tennessee December 15th, so we're not even on a year yet. And it's been a journey. It's been a God's journey for sure. And we're here, and we have created a place of refuge on our farm, and allowing us to teach and mentor for our local community and beyond. So it's been a good journey.
I'm Sarah Kleinhans, and I have a small market farm in McEwen, Tennessee, and our farm name is Clean Jeans Farm. My husband and I run the farm, and we have 3 children, and so that's our farm, and we do farmers markets and grocery stores. And I just got to throw this out there because when I speak in front of a group, if I start to sound like I'm crying, I'm okay. I'll get through it. I'll get through it. Or if I look like I'm stung by bees, it's also okay. I'll be fine.
I think you should tell them where your name came from.
Oh, Clean Jeans Farm. Yeah, so I've been on a health journey for, maybe 10 years or so. And so I was reading a book by Dr. Ben Lynch, and it was called Dirty Jeans. And so, clean eating is part of, just one of my main passions. And so in the book, it talks about, the water that we drink, the air we breathe, the food that we eat. It can either, if it's dirty, it will promote dirty expression of our genetics. And then if it's clean, it will just help promote the clean expression of our genetics. And so we wanted to grow food that would only promote the clean expression of our genes. So that's, it's not like blue jeans you wear.
No.
Also, my husband's name is not Gene. Everyone used to call him Gene. Jason. So we used to do a Kingston Springs farmers market, and they'd be like, "Hi, Gene," and our whole first year he never corrected me. I would laugh every time, but yeah. So.
My name is Amber Miller. Our husbands are cousins, and I've known Angela since you were like 15,
14.
right? 14? Yeah, she used to come help me when I was a young mom with a little crying one and all of that, so it's been a long time. But we have a small family farm that we started a couple years ago. My husband has been here his entire life. He was raised in that community, but I'm originally from California, so everything was very new and culture shock and all of that for me, so it's been a learning curve. We really love focusing on dairy and doing raw dairy and offering that to people, and are looking to expand that this spring into more drops and counties and different things like that. So that's what we love.
Love it. Okay, I'll start this way now. What made you get into farming and homesteading, and what keeps you going on the hard days?
So I'll be honest and say that 2020. Anybody else? That's why I got into homesteading. That was a big wake-up moment. And we got our first milk goat because I was like, everything's about to shut down and we need to provide food, and I don't know where that's going to come from. So we did that, and it all kind of just escalated from there. Like, just fell in love with the lifestyle, the richness. That's what keeps me going. The life for our kids. We have 3 little ones and another on the way, and just that richness and fullness of working together and being able to produce something together, and pulling a sweet potato out of the ground, and the kids are so amazed, and they're all excited about what did we make on this plate, what came from us, and just all of that. That's what keeps it going, the whole lifestyle behind it. Now that I'm like, okay, we're still alive. It's 2020, almost 2023. But yeah, 3 years later. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm grateful. I'm really 2020, was terrible in a lot of ways, but also really grateful that it was that wake up moment of, we need to do something differently, so yeah. I love it. What about you, Sarah?
We got into farming because my husband used to work in the offshore oil and gas industry, and so when we moved here from Houston 8 years ago, and we had a child that was 1 year old at the time, and so when Jason would travel offshore, his job was he controlled robots that worked subsea on pipelines and stuff. He would be gone 6 to 8 weeks, and so the more kids we had, the harder it was for him to be gone, the harder it was for me to be home with 3 little ones, and for the kids too. And so he was missing milestones. And towards the end of his hitches, he worked offshore for probably 13 years. They were sending him to really sketchy places. Africa, he'd have to be in a bulletproof vest, and they would escort him with armed guards from the airport. So it just got to be unsafe and a big stress. And so we wanted to devise a plan where he would not have to travel offshore. And so he wanted to look for a job on land and somewhere close to home. But at the same time, he doesn't have a college education. And so he just was I don't want to start from the bottom of a company and work my way up. And so he was hell bent on, he's got the entrepreneurial gene. And so he started doing research. We've gardened for probably 12 years. So we've had that experience. And then when I had my second child, we were doing Back to Eden garden and stuff like that. So we got a couple years. And then when I got pregnant with our 3rd baby, his name's Declan, and he's one of my biggest marketing tools. If you know him, you know what I mean. But
That's fair.
a lot of memes with him. But so he came across Market Gardener, J.M. Fortier, and so he was like, hey, can I buy this course? And so he did, and he started watching it, and he had me watching videos, and he got me really interested. I was like, that's good stuff. And then he came across another market gardener, and he came up with a full-on business plan of so that was a different market gardener. And then this other market gardener in these are all the best in the biz, was making $350,000 a year. And so he literally came up with a straight-on business plan of what crops we have to grow, how much bed space, and it was completely all written out. And I was like, yes, let's do this. And so it took us about 1.5 years of planning. So we got infrastructure, we got our pack house, we hired an agronomist to get our soil, because Tennessee soil is just something. Yeah. And so we got our soil good, we were getting our nurseries, tunnel, just everything in place. And then when we were ready, it took us about 1.5 years from the beginning of planning to when we actually started. He severed ties with his old profession, and I'm a nurse, but with him being gone so much, it was just easier for me to stay at home, because in our town there's no daycares. I worked briefly in the OR in Waverly and Erin, but I would have to drive 45 minutes one direction for daycare and then back to the hospital, and it was just, I was like, I need to stay home. So the drive was for our family unit to be together and not have Jason going offshore. And as Amber, I've heard you say before, being a full-time family was really cool. And I think that's how we got into farming. My husband, I guess, I'm not big on I don't really know, but I've been told he's a 5, I think is a 5 investigator, researcher. He's really does a lot of research. So he got all the info.
This is going to be our 9th year in January that we were homesteading, but we were homesteading in Washington on less than 2 acres. And so we converted basically a single family home on 2 acres into a property that we were consuming about 75% of our food source. What land we didn't have to run, we were sharing land with our neighbors to run our pigs onto their forests, kind of thing like that. We already had our dairy goats, and we already had all the poultry that we were going to raise. We were raising meat chickens in the front of my property and in the back of my property. Luckily, we lived on the mountainside and only one home above us, so they kind of got used to the chicken tractors in the front and everything like that. So that's how it started, but it started with a lot of failure in that whole process because Justin and I don't come from homesteading or farming in any way, shape, or form. I learned everything. I failed miserably for the first 3 years. I kept animals alive, but I didn't know that gardens needed compost and good things, right? We just thought you could put dirt in the ground and just plant something, it was gonna come up. And so we just started that 3 years miserably, and then all of a sudden it just clicked. It just clicked on that. So it got to the point where it was like, okay, you know what? If I'm investing, good feed for my livestock, and I'm gonna invest good feed in my garden to be able to produce for us and to preserve it and to can it and to freeze it and to store it and to raise it and to butcher it ourselves and then to put it in the freezer, I need to do more for ourselves in that point. And so I had come to Tennessee to speak at a conference, and 9 days later after the conference, it was literally a calling to turn around, and we were moving. I sent Justin a text and I said, we've been called to move. And he thought we were going to Texas because that's where we had talked about. And I was like, no, not at all. And I said, we're being called to Tennessee. He goes, you don't even like Tennessee. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I went from Nashville Airport to my location, saw the freeway. I was like, it's okay, kind of thing. And so I said, and that's what he said, you don't even like Tennessee. But the point of it was that Justin is a theology major, so when I said we're being called there, he was like, when? I said, now. He came home with a plan of what we need to do with property to put it on the market. We immediately put it on the market to get it ready to go and to sell, and without even hesitation, we turned around and we loaded up and came here to do the second half. I think I'm a lot older than most of you guys on the board, but do the second half of our journey for what we're gonna do. So if you're new in this part of it, fail. I'm going to tell you, failure is the biggest teacher you'll ever have. Fail and allow yourself to fail. Am I supposed to move forward with that? Yeah.
And as we watch an influx of new homesteaders, and maybe as new homesteaders fumble around, trying lots of different things, trying to figure out what they want to do, how did you as a new homesteader find your vision for yourself and your farm?
Dude, my vision didn't come until I got to Tennessee, and that's the truth, because I think it depends on what your ultimate goal is going to be. If your ultimate goal is to be 99% sustainable, where you're going Azure Standard, buying your grain at that point, cutting out your sugar, raising your own honeybees and stuff like that, I think that, you have to have that. I think the biggest, lack of better words, issue with those who are new to homesteading is because they go to these big people and they say this works for them, it's going to work for me, and I'm going to bring on this, and then I'm going to do that, and then all of a sudden I'm being chased at the conference that I told you why I moved here from a man who has 47 kinder goats on less than 2 acres because he kept breeding, and he's like, what do I do with them? I said, eat them. So it's one of those things where he was shocked. I think that preparation into your journey is essential, and if you don't have to have that focus right then and there. You have to have a drive. What's your drive? Is it clean eating? Okay, start with the garden, right? And then what? Chickens are the next easiest thing, right? And then before you know it, you're like me, bringing on Angus in a couple weeks. So the point of it is that the focus is that's what it is. If you take on, it's like food, you bite more than you can chew, you're gonna choke, right? Be smarter than that, don't choke. Right? Incorporate small, think about your land, do not abuse your land. If you abuse your land, you cut off your feet. You have nothing left. Do not abuse it. Your land is your God-forsaken bounty to getting to you to where you need to be. If you abuse it, you're done. Over grazing animals, over bringing on too much, over assuming what you're going to do is going to do that, and then you're going to cry, and before you know it, you don't know what you're going to do, and you can't do that. Then you find that person who's succeeded on the same acreage, and then you're going to bond, and you're going to be like, tell me what I need to do, and cry. Cry every day because it's okay to cry. I'm not even gonna lie. Just cry it out because you're gonna get your answer sooner or later.
I mean, recommendations, books, podcasts.
My book. Go get my book.
Her book's awesome.
Go buy my book right there. I threw it out there for you.
Your book is awesome.
Is it a good book?
It is a good book. I've got post-it notes everywhere, highlights.
Thank you.
What's the book called?
The Farm Girl's Guide to Preserving the Harvest. It's basically your A to Z to food preservation. It starts off with every single thing you have, but it's your beginning intro to it all, and then you have to take it from there and research and move on and move forward with what you're gonna do. We're getting ready to reactivate the podcast again because we've had so many requests for that. The podcast is the Simple Homesteading Life podcast. You can find it on all your favorite Outlook and revenues on that. Of course, the website, farmgirlinthemaking.com, and then Acorn Creek is more of a Tennessee-based. We do hands-on work. One of your questions was business-driven.
Yeah, that was next.
Okay, all right. So the farm is Acorn Creek Farmstead, and we are teaching basically sustainable living all the way across the board. The life skills to get you to where you need to be on that, and a lot of outlets. I have online courses and all that stuff as well too. So I have a full preserving course. I have a mentorship program that I have someone from South America somewhere who's taken it. We've had people from Australia and Ireland on it as well too. So that's a lot of places.
That was a lot of places.
Yeah.
What about you, Sarah? Do you have any recommendations? Books, podcasts?
I should have said other people.
No, you did great. I love it.
Go to conferences. Go to homesteading conferences and gatherings like this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angela.
So to make a business out of your homestead or whatever, I think marketing is like you got to know how to market. I guess by chance there are situations where maybe you don't have, maybe you happen to get this great farmers market where you can set up and there's great foot traffic and people are wanting your product. But for me, I mean, in my context, just because I can grow great vegetables does not mean that you can sell them. I'm just gonna give an example. So our very first farmers market, we got into the 12 South Farmers Market in Nashville, and I was like, oh yeah, we've made it, like we're in Nashville, you know. And so we come with about $800 worth of produce, and it's like we get our set up. I've got a babysitter for the kids, it's Jason and I, and then like it's a beautiful market. There's like food trucks, and it's in a park. And so we're like, we're gonna do great. And then, so we set up and it's looked great, and then we sold $30 that day, and then we had to pay a $30 fee for our booth. So it was like, well, so the great thing about us is we just cut things when they don't work. And we saw the people at that market. The people were going there, you know what, there was other market farmers there that you could tell had been there for a long time, so they knew those ones. But a lot of people went there just for like a family outing, to go to the park, to go to a food truck, just to walk in a park. And so so we were just a very small fish in that very large pond at that time. So I guess marketing is like huge. You have to suck up your pride. Like if you don't like doing a video, you got to do a video. Otherwise you might not be able to make a business out of it. What else was on that question?
Recommendations.
Oh, podcast
Continue
type
your
stuff.
learning.
Yeah.
Podcast.
So one podcast that we really just dove into was Farm Small, Farm Smart by Diego Fitter. And like, I just devoured his episodes, especially with Curtis Stone. And then, so that was, what else? So we looked at the John Martin Fortier stuff, and then Curtis Stone. Those were the books, really. And then we have like every organic. We've got Elliot Coleman, we've got the Lean Farmer, we've got, like, those were, and I was nursing Declan, like, Jason's the researcher, so I was like, just tell me what I need to know at that time. Like, I was big on, like, I did everything health and Jason did everything farm. So he was the researcher, but those were the books. And we would just go to McKay's bookstore, and like, because those are used books, and we would just go through the gardening section, we would get great ones. And so just go there and pick up some books, and just even like a chicken health book. So we've got like, I forget what it's called, but it's like literally when we have an issue with the chicken, I'll just go. So go to a used bookstore, get some books. But we loved the Farm Small, Farm Smart, and then yeah, those market farmers were our help. If I think of any others, I'll share.
I love YouTubes, and I wish I could remember the channels. There's like, maybe someone can help me out. There's a couple. The lady always wears a braid. She has glasses.
Doug and Stacy.
Doug and Stacy.
No, Stacy doesn't work.
No.
Well, sometimes she does.
They do.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There was a t-shirt that says like,
Yes, they're like a Christian couple, and they just moved their farm recently. Just
Oh, yeah.
homesteading YouTube channels. That's what I consumed nonstop, and I would I put in my AirPods, even though they're bad for me, and I'd sit there and like wash dishes and just listen continually, and then the homesteading groups, and then the conversations and the chats, and so that's just. I never even read a book. I bought the books, they're all on my shelf, but I'm like juggling everything here, so just listening continually and from different people to hear different voices and different styles. So if I'm gonna can something, I'm gonna watch like 10 videos on canning that thing to hear the one that, that fits me, or that fits what I'm doing. So yeah, YouTube's.
Let's follow the rules. I kind of did not.
We don't have a book yet, Anne, so buy my future book.
Can I add on to that a little bit? I guess, okay, something else popped in my mind. So like, if you want to get the word out I'm kind of adding on to marketing. So maybe you're not ready to build a website, but if you need to build a website, start getting the information down. Just start typing it out and have it ready to go whenever and if you're gonna build your own, there's courses on how to build your own website too. So you can start looking there's some free courses, I think there's free websites, but if you're gonna try and make a business out of it, I do highly recommend like getting a legit website.
And I'm going to add to that too is that websites can be monetized through certain revenues and avenues of where you're going to go. Google is one that just pays out very, very little, or you can join one of the once you meet the criteria to join one of the bigger websites on that. To make a business out of your website, it costs you money.
Yes.
To make a business out of your website. Okay, you've got to learn how to play the Google game, so you're paying for the tools that go into the Google game to do that. And I am not tech savvy. I have an assistant that's very tech savvy, and she's on speed dial all the time. I don't know what to do, and she's like, I got it, and so she's quick to do it. So if you are not tech savvy, find that partner that's going to be tech savvy for you, and you've got to learn to play the Google game. You have to have search engine optimization to be able to even rank on Google. And when I sat down and did my website, I did not rank at all. I had to turn around and rewrite just about everything that I wanted to do. So if you want to make, and I know we're moving into the business aspect of it.
We actually are going to wrap it up, sorry,
Okay.
so that we can ask them, so
Okay.
anyone in the audience can ask questions. If anyone has questions for any of these lovely ladies, y'all can ask them.
A business out of what you do, right? Hone it down. That's the point end of it. My business is teaching, right? That's what I do. What I do on my farm is to feed my family, right? Anything excess, I turn around and I will sell out. Okay, I raise pigs because I know I need to put 2 pigs in my freezer and gift some to my community members after that. But then everything else, if I don't sell it, guess what? It's going to the auction. I don't want to feed it. I have no shame in that. Okay, so but if you want to make a business out of it, do your research. Don't just slap up a website, like Sarah says, and think you're going to make a business, because there's nothing worse than knowing that all of a sudden you're on somebody else's website and they're like, oh, what's media buying? Oh, I can get paid for this, and all of a sudden you get smacked in the face because you have to have 50,000 sessions a month. That means 50,000 people come to your website in 1 month period, and then you can qualify for it. But then you're still not going anywhere because you're not ranking in Google because you're not following the rules of what, everybody talks about. And let me just say this real quick and I'm going to wrap it up. Social media sucks. Okay, it sucks. It's part of our business. That's what we have to do to get ourselves seen. And if you were to ask me, I have a social media assistant as well too, for the reason to not be on social media. Okay, and this is how I post. I get up in the morning, I'm like, real quick, and I'm out. it's one of those things that's a time sucker. It's one of those things, you know, you pay me to do it, but at the end of the day, I'm you. I need to feed my family, and that's what I have to do, right? So, you know, whatever you do to create a brand and a business for yourself, I would honestly say do it in your community first, and then broaden out afterwards. After that,
100%.
yeah.
So that was my question. Is there a way to make a business out of it? Because I'm preparing for when the internet won't allow me to connect anymore. So,
Purpose emails.
do I?
Or sorry, you could get
Yes,
text
she's right.
like text.
She's right though.
You're
Email
connecting
capture.
with people through
Email
emails, but then
capture.
have them opt into text too.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. I will be kicked off of social media very soon. We're going to be very honest with that, right? Because my mouth does not hide the truth of what's happening, right? I won't hide my faith. I won't hide what the government's doing to us. I won't hide it. I won't. And social media hates me. That's okay. You build up your email platform. You do your teaching there. I teach on the farm. So the 3-year plan, right, wasn't to teach coming in the first 9 months, but every single one of my workshops was sold out because there's a thirst and a need for it. So if you want to do something to make money while reaching into your community, find your niche for what you do best and teach on it. Put out a little flyer on Canva, find all those Facebook groups that are near you, like I did. Y'all saw that, right? I blasted, I have a sourdough workshop. I only offer 2 and they're sold out. Do you see what I'm saying? At $60 a pop, okay? And people were buying 2 or 3 spots. So I'm gonna tell you, because they were bringing other people.
Yeah.
So if you are not a website curator, if you're not a social media, who cares how many followers you have on social media? Who cares? Do you really care how many people like you? I don't. I'm sorry, I love you all, but at the end of the day, right?
I want that street cred though. Like, it's real.
Amber has more followers than I do on social media. Do you see what I'm saying? You do the workshops. If your niche is to make sourdough bread, right? Do a sourdough bread workshop. Okay, if your niche is to can and preserve food, teach how to do that. Your workshops, by just reaching out to those surrounding towns all around you at $6 a pop and you're offering 15 spots, come on.
And I find one of the most effective, like, free advertising is getting on Facebook. The hip, for me, it's like Hip Dixon. I'm sure Columbia's got that Mule Town, whatever.
Google's gonna kick me off too.
Optimization.
Watch. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
sorry.
very important.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm wrapping this up. Any more questions?
We can talk business all day. You like throw a business.
We got a question.
Y'all talked a lot about finding the things that you love and pursuing those. How do you balance, and is there an area that you had to pivot away from what you thought you loved towards a niche market that you found that made a lot of sense? And how do you balance that?
For me, finding what I love was like, what am I dreading doing? That's what I don't love. So the gardening, like I want to be a gardener because it just seems like something I should do, but I don't love it. It's very cumbersome for me. It's not going to be profitable because it's not something I want to pour my time into. Cows, I've been milking every morning for 2 years and I never once don't want to go out there. You know, I love it. And then seeing that there is a big need in our area for that. So now my passion and what I love aligns with a need that's available, and it's that kind of perfect thing. But like I was saying earlier, I never would have discovered that if I wouldn't have tried a lot of different things to get there. So that pivoting of realizing like, oh, this isn't for me, and that's humbling, so embarrassing, so like I have to go to my husband and be like, I'm so sorry, I begged to buy that, you know, like all those things. And then, I hate the stupid garden. But then it's like, but I love this, you know, and then I can expand on that and become an expert in that field or grow my knowledge in that field. So being willing to like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna rely on Sarah for my greens and I'm gonna give her milk and, you know, that kind of thing. That was for me.
I agree with that. I love having my hands in the soil. I love being outside. I love doing physical work. So that was just naturally like,
Opposite
for me,
attract.
yeah. And I would never want to milk a cow. So it's good.
We're good. We got each other.
I mean, I would if I had to, but like, I don't have to because I got her. So we're good.
For me, because this is the longer journey for me, I kind of like I probably will one day turn around and go, okay, I've got my milker, my dairy cows in here. I may turn around and bag out my dairy goats, but I probably, there really isn't. Is there really a right answer to that?
Well, you love teaching.
Oh, I love teaching.
So if you love teaching, or right, and you found an avenue to do that with something that you love, which is homesteading.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's what I
things came
did.
together.
Amber's telling me what I did. That's what I did. Yeah. So yeah, you gotta find what you love, right? So before this, I was a teacher at a Christian preschool. That's what I did. So I either had to cut that off and teach adults, or stay doing that. Either way, I would have won, right? Because there were more Microsoft Indian clients, so we were on a mission on our own soil, right? So, but I was being pulled to reach a different level, right? And so that's what I did. So I just flip-flop days. This is what I did. Yeah.
I just want to wrap up that amazing farm to table dinner that I got the opportunity to go to yesterday at Miller Homestead. It was absolutely amazing, and Chris and I are so excited to be able to host something like that here on the farm. And so many amazing things are happening and coming together, and there were so many connections made last night. And this movement, this homestead movement, this group of people that want to be self-reliant and not reliant on government or grocery stores or supply chains. You guys, it's growing and it is becoming something so powerful, and I'm so excited to be part of this group and to have so many amazing friends. And the women that I got to be with last night, everybody, there was no backbiting, it was just amazing. It was a group of like-minded homesteading women who lifted each other up and encouraged each other and push each other onward, cheerlead for each other and encourage each other. And that is something that I really want to be a part of, and I am so excited to share that with you guys. And I hope you enjoyed everything that was said and learned as much as I did. I'd love to hear what you thought in the comments below. So like and subscribe, hit that bell button so you get all of our notifications, and stay tuned for more to come from Honeysuckle Farm. Keep growing, you guys.